In New Orleans, 15 people have died, 36 have been injured after a man now named as 42-year-old Shamsuddin Jabbar drove a pickup truck into crowds of people in a popular area of New Orleans in the early hours, New Year's Eve, of course. Din Jabbar is also confirmed to be dead after an exchange of gunfire with local law enforcement. He is a US citizen from Texas. In the last hour, we've been able to listen to the press conference in New Orleans where the mayor and the FBI have been providing more information. Here is FBI's Assistant Special Agent Aletha Duncan.
An ISIS flag was located on the trailer hitch of the vehicle, and the FBI is working to determine the subject's potential associations and affiliations with terrorist organizations. Weapons and potential improvised explosive devices, IEDs, were located in the subject's vehicle. Other potential IEDs were also located in the French Quarter. As of now, 2 IEDs have been found and rendered safe. The FBI Special Agent bomb technicians have been working to determine if any of these devices are viable, and they'll work to render those devices safe. The FBI, we are working with our partners to investigate this as an act of terrorism. We're aggressively running down all of the leads to identify the possible subject's associates. We're working to ensure that there is no further threat.
That was FBI Assistant Special Agent Aletha Duncan speaking earlier. We also heard from the mayor as well. We saw the first picture of the attacker, and the governor of Louisiana, Jeff Landry, also spoke. Let's speak to the US correspondent for The Times, Charlotte McDonald-Gibson, who joins me now. She's been across the story all day. Good evening, Charlotte.
Good evening.
Look, we now know that the suspect was a US military veteran. This has just been confirmed by the FBI.
Yes, that's right. We believe he spent 10 years in the US military. There is a YouTube video in which he himself, or we believe it's him, and it does appear to be him, talks about spending 10 years as a human resources specialist and an IT specialist in the US military. And certainly any military background he has is going to be very closely looked at. There have been long-held concerns about radicalization and extremism in the US military ranks, although it's worth noting that's usually when they're speaking about far-right extremism. And obviously here we're seeing that he had an Islamic State flag in his pickup truck. So there's many different lines of investigation that need to be, picked over. And that's what the FBI are doing right now.
Yeah, the New York Times reporting that the suspect said in an email that he owed more than $27,000 in late mortgage payments. He was in financial trouble, effectively. Credit card debt, court document filed in 2022 as part of divorce proceedings. So that he worked at the accounting firm Deloitte and made £120,000 a year. So look, we are building a picture of this, and also the terror links as well. Talked about the flag, the ISIS flag there found in the vehicle. These are all sort of really moving lines of inquiry, aren't they?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, often when we have an attack, we sort of go over social media accounts and see, what indications there are. That doesn't, apart from this one YouTube video where he comes across as a professional real estate professional, trying to sell his wares. That there's nothing really out there that we can see at the moment. So the only link we have to Islamist extremism is this ISIS flag that they say that they found on his truck. What they have said, and I think this is very, very key, is that they don't believe he was solely responsible. They believe there is a range of suspects. So I think a greater picture will emerge. I mean, if this is a sort of cell, this is going to be something very, very worrying for the authorities.
Yeah, it certainly is. 2 IED devices found and made safe so far. We understand that there are others across the city, and this is important, not just in the French Quarter where the attack took place, but also across the city. And as you sort of mentioned there, Charlotte, this indicates potentially a wider operation that could be really concerning.
Yes, absolutely. And I think what was quite striking, we just had a reasonably lengthy press conference from various officials from New Orleans, and they were really at pains to try and calm fears, because yes, this idea that there's bombs around the city is going to be very, very disturbing for people there. Lots of people in the city for the Sugar Bowl college football game that was meant to happen tonight, that's now been postponed till tomorrow. And you can see that they were trying to reassure residents while at the same time giving out some incredibly worrying information.
Yeah, certainly. What else do we know about the incident, as we're piecing it all together, there are questions, aren't there, about whether barriers, which are usually along that particular street, Bourbon Street, isn't it, that they are usually in place to prevent attacks like this. But the fact that the suspect was able to drive a vehicle at fast speed down that street means that it appears that those barriers were not, or bollards were not up.
Yes, exactly. And this was something that came out very, very soon after the attack. A lot of eyewitnesses were saying they thought it was strange that the hydraulic metal barriers to stop cars from traveling down pedestrianised areas on Bourbon Street were not up. They usually are. This is a very highly secured area. It's a place where there's a lot of revelers. There's a lot of police there. They have these systems, these hydraulic bollards to keep vehicles out. Now, because of security preparations for the football match, they were not in operation last night and this morning, indeed, when the attack took place. So there's a lot of focus on that. There wasn't this press conference. We saw the governor, the police getting quite defensive about it, saying that they had tried to put in place other measures, other safety measures, like stationing police cars where those bollards were meant to be. And so the question comes up again and again, well, but they obviously didn't work. And the police chief was saying that this was because the terrorist, the attacker, drove his car onto the pavement. But one would assume that you would legislate for that when designing these bollards. So there's a lot of questions there for them to answer.
A separate incident, Charlotte, but I just wonder if you know anything about this. The Tesla Cybertruck that's caught fire outside Donald Trump's hotel in Las Vegas. Separate, not being linked. But of course, people are on high alert after that suspected terror attack in New Orleans.
Yes, absolutely. I think when we all saw that, we were like, "Oh my goodness, is this some sort of coordinated cross-country attack?" There's no evidence of that at the moment. I haven't heard. This didn't even come up in the press conference in New Orleans. So I think that there were fears over that. But as I've seen so far, there has been no link. I mean, of course, yes, one of Musk's Teslas exploding outside the Trump hotel. It is
the fact it is a Musk car as well is
exactly.
Relevant potentially.
Yeah, 100%. But no, we don't have that much information on that at the moment.
Okay, well, footage shared by an ex-user said there were guests at the hotel's silver pickup truck engulfed in flames while a series of loud bangs rang out and white smoke visible from the strip. Cause of the fire was unclear. Not linked to New Orleans, but still worth mentioning. Lots still for police and authorities to look at. Meanwhile, the death count sadly has gone up. We were at 10 and now we're at 15. What else do you expect to hear? What else will police and will local law enforcement be looking at this time, Charlotte?
Yes, absolutely. So we did have that increase in the death toll, and we're getting a few more details now about the victims, which include an 18-year-old student nurse and a 37-year-old father of two. So we're getting a little bit more detail about the people who tragically killed this morning. So I think people will be focusing on that. But I do think this idea of accomplices still out there, suspects still at large, I mean, that's going to be the number one priority for law enforcement at the moment, and trying to get, trying to reassure people that they're okay to go to this big football game tomorrow night when this is all going on. So I think, that's going to be their priority.
Look, good to speak to you. Thank you. US correspondent for The Times, Charlotte McDonald-Gibson. Happy New Year to you, Charlotte. Thanks for being across this in so much detail for the station today. I really appreciate it.